Okay, you ready for the next part of the story? I'm looking beautiful. I've been sanding the Grand Salon of the Chateau in France. So we left off. Aaron still wasn't home. It was the afternoon on that fateful Tuesday. I don't really remember a whole lot of what I was doing other than sitting on the porch with the phone clutched to my hand, and every now and then talking to New Jersey Dispatch, or Officer Wyatt. So by then I knew that Aaron had been at Windows of the World, that it was at the top of the first tower Tower 1, which was the second tower to fall in, and that I figured out that it had fallen in about 90 minutes. And I knew that he was on the 106th floor. So I figured with my logical mind that even if he had immediately started down the stairs, it would have taken at least a minute to get down every flight. And he was on 106 floors. So that would have been 106 minutes, not 90. So I think I was pretty sure that he hadn't gotten out of the building before it had fallen, all that to say. But I still had hope, I guess. I still had hope that, I don't know, somehow, some miracle, he took the elevator. I don't know. So I remember at one point, this man across the street came home, and I knew he worked in downtown. He worked near the Trade Center. And he was walking across the street. I was sitting on the porch, and so I ran over to him and just said, "What's going on down there? Like, what, and I explained to him about Aaron, and he said, it's just, don't worry, it's so possible. There's huge lineups behind every phone booth. No buses are running, subways aren't running, nothing's running." He said, and I can't remember now this detail, but he said that he either walked through the Lincoln Tunnel or that he had found a ferry across from New York to New Jersey. And then he was able to catch a bus on the New Jersey side and got back to Montclair. And this is about 4 o'clock now. So, well, maybe 3 o'clock, I can't remember. But he said, it's just chaos. It's absolute chaos. He said, if he's gotten out, he's in the middle of chaos. He probably can't reach you. None of the cell phones were working, because of course the cell phone tower had been on the tops of the buildings, the tallest buildings in the world. Anyhow, so he was sort of like, I'm sure it'll be fine. Don't worry about it, blah, 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 blah. So, that just kind of gave me a little bit of like, okay, well, maybe it's possible. My daughter arrived home on the bus. I went to collect her from the bus, and she came home and said, Mommy, people on the bus were saying that 2 planes hit the big buildings in New York, and they fell down. And that was about all she knew. And I was like, yes, I've heard, but I didn't mention yet her dad. I wasn't ready for that yet. I needed more time to process. So the rest of the afternoon is kind of a blur. There's lots of people in my house. Eventually there's like this huge bowl of fruit salad on my kitchen counter. Eventually, I'm not sure exactly when, this neon green piece of paper gets taped to my kitchen cabinets, and it's a list, sort of broken down by day, lunch and dinner, and it's people signing up to bring me lunches and dinners. And I remember thinking, why are people doing this? I do remember a couple of friends, they came over and they were like, what can we do? What can we do? And I just said to them, I need some books. I need some information here. Like, I don't know what to say to the kids. How do I deal with this? Like, I need a book on grief for children. Like, I was, which looking back, I think, okay, wow, like, that was what I was thinking. Like, all I could think about was my kids. Like, how is it going to, and I've got a 2-year-old and a 6-year-old. Like, how do you tell your children this little bit of news? And like, what? And, by this time, Olivia's home. I feel like she's got a friend home. They're running around. Like, they don't really know what's going on, but they know it's weird because there's all these people in her house. The dog is barking every time somebody knocks on the door. It's kind of like, I remember just feeling really like chaotic, almost like just jangled. I don't know how else to describe that. Just super overwhelmed. And just not really knowing what to do or how to cope. It's just like, I'm just trying to be logical. I'm trying to just, I'm trying not to cry too much, but the tears are coming despite myself. And at one point I'm giving Carter, my son, a bath, and he stands up in the bath in this very strange way, and he wants to give me a hug because I guess I was sitting on the toilet crying, and he wants to give me a hug because he sees I'm sad. And I lean over to give him a hug, and I have this really distinct sense that it's my husband giving me the hug. That still gets me. So that was a moment. And then putting my daughter to bed, and I can't remember if it was this very first night or the night after, but it was one of those early nights, and I'm putting her to bed, and again, I'm sad, I'm crying, and she's all concerned. She's like, why are all these people in our house, and why is everybody so sad? And she's like, I don't want to be a sad person. I want to be a happy person. I remember her saying that somewhere in there. So just these sort of like pockets of memories sort of jump out. I don't think I slept very well that night. I remember that night being on the computer and somehow finding kind of a message board. This is kind of before all the social media stuff, but finding a message board. And I realized it's just people looking, it's just like people are describing their loved one. Like, he's, 6 feet tall. He was wearing this. He had a tattoo here. He worked at Cantor Fitzgerald. So Cantor Fitzgerald was the business, a very large business on the 105th floor. So they were one floor below. So I added Aaron's description. I had a picture, all of that. But again, I'm still doing that horrible math in my head, trying to figure out what's next. So the next morning, the kids jump into my room, like they come jumping onto the bed, and Olivia, my daughter, just says, Mommy, where's Daddy? Immediately she clues in that he's not there. And I realize I'm going to have, she's too adept. She's too smart to realize, she knows something's up. And so I explained to her that, remember you told me yesterday that the 2 planes hit the 2 buildings. Well, your dad was in the buildings. And so she immediately burst into tears. She's like, is he hurt? And I was like, I don't know. And she said, is he dead? And I said, I don't know. And then Carter, who's only 2, barely has words. He's jumping up and down. Where Daddy? Where Daddy? Where Daddy? And I just have to explain to him, Daddy has a boo-boo, a big boo-boo. And at that moment, the dogs start barking like freaking maniacs. So somebody's at the door, and it's only like 7 a.m. And we go downstairs, and outside the front door is a dozen bagels and coffee, I believe, like not a thermos, but like a box of coffee. And I think, oh my God, here we go. It started.